Well, we got a chance to take the ZD-Fly Cessna 421 out today, and we weren't disappointed, were we? It was a beautiful plane.
It's sitting here in one piece.
Yes, that's always a good day, isn't it?
Especially for a painted foam plane.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can say, hey, all the paint's still on it, you're doing good.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll start with a 5x5 review with model characteristics. Build as advertised. I did the build. We gave it a 3.5 out of 5. The reason we did that was because of the aforementioned modifications that we did have to make. You know, they were aware of it. It isn't like it was something that was trying to be pushed off with no knowledge. I mean, Mark gave us a heads up, and they're well worth the time to do it. So, you know, that is the reason it's got a 3.5 out of 5. But other than that, it really is a straightforward build. It's not a time-consuming, difficult build at all. So the next category would be finish. We gave it a 4 out of 5. Now, we've talked about this foam quite a bit, Kurt, and the finish on this particular plane is extremely impressive for foam. I mean, it comes out of the box solid white. Smooth. We did the paint on it, obviously, but the paint aside, the finish of the plane itself, I was really impressed with how nice this foam is really getting.
Yeah. I'm most impressed with the way you painted ZD-421 on it. That is sharp, man. It's
buffaloed you, didn't I? Yeah. There
are some stickers. The windows are stickers.
Yes, the windows are stickers and the ZD-421.
And they give you some other stickers for the wings and stuff.
Yeah, they've got a blue scheme that you can put. You know, there's some striping that can go on the fusion wings.
I like our blue scheme.
Yeah, we chose to paint it. Yeah, I mean, when you see a beautiful plane with this kind of outline, it begs to have a custom paint job on it.
And seeing it in the air, actually watching this thing fly, man, what an absolutely gorgeous profile.
And I'll be real honest with you, what I used on this was it's called Rust-Oleum American Accents is what I used. It's they boast that it's got twice the amount of paint as a normal can. And I'm telling you, it's the first time I ever used this paint, but it was the most flawless paint to use. You couldn't make it run.
Yeah.
And it's adhered to this foam extremely well. We were really impressed at how well it held up.
It does stay on extremely well.
It does. It does.
And EPO is hard to bind to unless you go with a real thick, kind of gooey, some of the testers' paints and stuff. It take forever to dry. And
and I did no prep on this. I mean, I made sure it was clean, but I didn't fine sand it or anything. I just painted the foam as is, and it really turned out well. And a little bit of accenting, you know, from the auto shop.
I see, little striping.
Yeah.
That's metallic too, isn't it?
Yeah, heck yeah, it's metallic.
Phew.
All right, power, we gave it a 5 out of 5. Kurt, talk about it. You flew it today, so.
Yeah, I did. You know, the thing that we noticed right away is it doesn't have counter-rotating props. So, you know, there was a concern, or I had it stuck in my head to be careful about torque effect low into the ground. You know, if you're coming in, you got to horse a little more on the flare or something, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, the test flying day that we had for this was not fun in terms of flying a scale plane as close to scale as you can.
Well, it's probably one of the most weird days we've ever had for wind.
Yeah, it came from all different directions. It was very, very pockety, and you'd had a lot of wing tipping going on. It handled it extremely well, though. At no point did it just spin out of control or just drop like crazy. And some of the other planes that we were flying, were really affected by it. So it handled it well. Now, one of the things I can say is twins. I've always been a twins fan. I love twin-engine airplanes. Not just from the sound and the look. I mean, you look at the scale look of this thing, it's very impressive.
It is.
And the handling on it, the power was more than ample. I mean, they have just absolute workhorse engines on it. Now, I will say, and I don't want to jump ahead to runtime or anything, or flight time, but I'm glad we went with the battery pack that we did. With the wind we had, you know, when you make your downwind turn and when you're making your upwind turn, whenever you've got a lot of hard crosswinds going on and pockety direction changing wind, you got to horse it through those turns a little more than what you typically do. And it delivered. It had the power you needed, and it allowed me to level the flight out to maintain a scale look. I could stay on the rudder nice and heavy and just power through the turns. So takeoff was beautiful. Slightly more than half throttle you can take off.
The takeoff was impressive. It was just straight, just gentle.
It just climbed
right up. Yeah, sorry, what are you going to flight?
I don't know. I got completely off track.
That's all right. Okay. So power's 5 out of 5.
You've got the sheet over there. Give it to me. I'll keep us focused.
I know. Okay, well, let's go to ground. We won't jump. We'll go to ground handling, which is next. 5 out of 5. Kurt, I noticed this thing, and you know, I did some taxiing with it here at the house, out on the street.
We can get you an RC car if you drive around on your street.
Yeah. But, you know, I did some taxiing fairly high speed, not enough to break ground or anything, but we noticed right away that it tracks like a dream.
It does. It's very soft foam wheels on it, which are a benefit. I mean, they chew up quick, and we actually had some really strong crosswind landings today where I was crabbing, and I hit the point where I was giving it really strong rudder, but the wind had shifted on me, and I was just too far off axis. And so we came in and did some side sliding. Now with that, the gear held up great and everything.
It did.
But you saw the soft compound tires taking the brunt of it. You know,
they got kind of like
they get a little hairy on the edge.
They're a little hairy on the edge, you know. But I noticed as soon as it did touch, it jerked itself
It locked itself right in and drove great. It drives extremely well. It's a tricycle landing gear, which is always nice. And the way this configuration is, you have good positive nose wheel control. You don't have to do a whole lot of down elevator or anything with the power on, because you've got moderate wash across the tail surfaces. It tracked great. Took off beautiful, landed fantastic. So ground handling was definitely impressive.
Durability, we gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Now, one thing I noticed before you start, Kurt, when I was building this, I had, even on my foam building stands, I had to put additional foam padding to keep from putting creases in the foam. It dents easier than I thought it would.
And actually, when you paint it, if you notice, you don't see the dents on the painted surface, and it does help a little bit with surface tension.
I think it does,
Whereas just the raw foam is pretty impressionable. You can take your fingernail right across it and it'll leave a crease. But durability from the model proper, there's a lot of rigidity in the wing, and you know, we had some tossy-turvy landings today just because of all those crosswinds, and it handled it really well.
It did.
I think the durability was definitely showing itself today in the conditions we were flying in.
I agree. I was impressed with it. Pilot experience, flight as advertised. Now, flight as advertised for this plane begs to be flown in a scale manner.
Yep, and it's pretty much flight as anticipated, like you expect a 421 to fly. It absolutely filled the bill. It flew just like a scale plane.
And we've talked about this before. There's certain planes, when they get up in the air from a filming aspect or from the filming side, they just look good and they're easy to film.
It's like you're filming a full-scale airplane.
Exactly, and this one did that. It was a pleasure to film. Normally I don't pay attention to the actual flight as much as just trying to capture the flight. So you can do things that I don't see until the film comes out. Exactly. I was watching every inch of this flight, and I was enjoying it while I was filming it. It's like, man, it just looks good.
I was equally enjoying it behind the sticks. And what I think that the cool thing about, and what always fascinates me about scale replica aircraft flight in an RC size and form, is that it inspires you as the pilot to fly it in a manner that makes it look like the real thing. So I found myself really wanting to do the platform justice by using good strong rudder turns. I had the benefit of good power plants, and in flying it in a way that it felt real.
And it was honest for you through all the maneuvers.
Absolutely. It stuck a great line, and considering conditions. Well, and the 421 has a little more bulbous body. It has definitely a lift body based on the design. So, you know, it suggests there's a lot of lift to work with, but it's short coupled as well, and we've dealt with short coupled planes a lot. They get a little waggy on you, and they'll do some funny things when you get the higher incident going on, or higher angle of attack going on the wings. With the twin power plants, you get the nice extension. It really pulled itself through well and stayed on its line. So it flew fantastic. It was a really enjoyable flight experience. In fact, I truly look forward to flying this again. And that's not a sales pitch, that's anything. I had fun. I want to fly it more.
Yeah, so definitely.
That doesn't happen all the time. I mean,
well, considering it's going to be hanging in my shop, it may be harder than you think.
He paints it, so he owns it. Anyhow, that works.
Anyhow, moving on to
what
flight
if I scrape
time.
all his paint off?
4.5 out of 5 on the flight time. Now, I don't know what we would have gotten with the recommended battery. Given what we use today, going to the 3600 milliamp battery, we got very nice flight times, very comfortable flight times of 8 minutes, I'd say at least.
Yeah, we brought it down the first time we went up, did our trim out, which I had, gosh, I think I had a little bit of pitch trim is all I had, which was very that was aileron. A little bit of aileron trim, tiny little bit, a couple ticks of aileron trim, and it was flying smooth. We do usually our trim out flight, and then we'll get used to takeoff characteristics, and a lot of times bringing them in like today's conditions. You know, we had very dicey landing conditions, so we took it up and we brought it down after what we thought was a safe time to check battery levels.
Yeah.
It was about the 5-minute mark.
Yeah.
And we were just over. We had consumed just short of half the battery capacity.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we didn't mess around with the 2200 milliamp today because the test flying day we had a lot of winds, and we didn't want to get in trouble. We didn't want to get up there and find out we were flatlining the battery. So we went ahead and tried the bigger 3600 milliamp pack. That's a slight bit more weight.
Yeah.
Didn't even notice it. So
exactly.
And it gave us great run times.
Yeah.
So I'd highly recommend. I'd fly this thing on a calm day with the 3600.
I think the 3600 milliamp pack. Millipamp act.
Easy for you to say.
3600 milli. Would you shut up?
Milliamp.
Thank you. With the pack we used today,
with our battery,
I think it's a good balance between giving you the run times you need and not overweighting the plane.
Yeah.
You know, I have seen online where they put in bigger batteries in, and the thing they noticed right away was their flight times really didn't increase that much because of the weight that they added.
And you've also got the battery location is high.
Exactly.
It's very high on the fuselage, right up at the top. So that's going to introduce some undesirable characteristics.
Well, the 421's got a high tail anyhow. It's not in the thrust line like a traditional plane would be.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Thrust line's below the horizontal stabilizer.
Exactly. So it makes for a little bit different attitude there.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that said, we go to field size. Definitely a large field.
This is a field flyer.
It is. It's not a park flyer, and don't try to fly it in a tight area just because you'll miss out on the experience.
It's too big, and that's the key. You're going to miss out on the enjoyment of having nice space to do your passes. And the thing I love doing too is dropping it down on the deck and just carrying it along. It just looks so good as it passes by, and it excites you as a pilot.
As soon as those retracts fold up and in, it just that line gets cleaned up, and it's beautiful.
Yep. So you want that room to take advantage of it. You
Definitely.
want some nice long passes.
Portability 3.5 out of 5. Now this plane does have 69-inch wingspan, as you said.
Yep.
So what you're getting
62.9.
Oh, 62.9. That's
63.
right, 63. Okay.
We rounded up.
Either way, taking the wing off of this plane in particular is just not something you want to do. It's not practical at all.
You've got a lot of stuff going through, and whenever you get a twin, there's a lot of stuff going through that main wing, and it just becomes pretty impractical.
So my best suggestion for when I transported it today, I transported it to the field with wheels down. I happened to use a trailer, 16-foot enclosed trailer, so I had plenty of room. Keeping this thing secure on the ground with the wheels down, it rolls, it moves, it bounces
around. When you
around.
you brought it back on like a moving mat.
Yes.
With wheels up.
With wheels up, and that made all the difference.
Yeah,
you could stick this in a pickup truck at an angle on a mat.
It's short enough to where you could do an angle sit on.
But transport it on with the wheels up, I think, is the best way to do it. It really is.
And without you having, especially if you've cut the flaps in, you're going to have some control linkage hanging down.
Exactly.
But with this being a zero linkage setup,
you have nothing dragging.
There's nothing smooth on the bottom, so you can just sit it right down in there.
Yep. All right. So skill level, we put it at intermediate.
Intermediate, if you cut the flaps in especially, but twin engine. A twin engine plane has a different dynamic to it. Its roll rates are different. And with this one, we talked about the handling and stuff too. I don't want to take a step back. This doesn't have counter-rotating power plants on it. We could very easily just put a pusher prop on the one side and reverse the two of the wires on the brushless motor, and we've got our counter-rotating engines or motors. I didn't get kicked around with that.
No.
I didn't have a lot of negative torque effects. Now, I was cognizant of it, and I didn't get real heavy on the throttle when I was getting down. But even with that said, it takes a little more flight skill. You can't be thinking about orientation. You can't be thinking about flat turns. When you're flying a bigger, heavier aircraft and primarily a twin engine. You're going to have to get used to some of those dynamics as they are. And it's just better off. It's definitely, I would put this as an intermediate plane. I wouldn't start off with it. It's definitely not a beginner.
No.
But it's not an advanced either. It's a very docile flyer. It was very, very well behaved, even in the wind we had today. So I'd get behind that. Well, that wraps up our review of the Cessna 421. You can see the full review at our website at tubefly.com. And for our mobile users, you can go to rcflightsource.com, download the mobile app, and you'll have all of our content, as well as our parts locator and field locator. I'm Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for watching.